Our rules are simple, but the challenge is great. No shoulder pets, tames that can be carried, or typical boss dinos allowed. That means no Rexes, Therazinos, or any other dinos people normally use in these fights. Equipped with level 150 saddles across the board, our 19 contenders will be backed by the commanding presence of a loyal Uranus providing that extra boost. No Overseer because the movement speed required to get through the tech cave, then chase the Overseer during the fight would shorten our list by a lot. It's important to note that tames in this series aren't typically used during boss battles because of the amount of mutations you need to make them competitive, but all of the dinos competing will have around 23,000 health and 1200% melee. This will give them all a fair shot at defeating at least one of the Guardians. It won't always be feasible to reach these stats depending on the dinos we're using, but I'll let you know the amount of mutations and levels it took in order to get there. You can make the call on if the juice is worth the squeeze based off whatever server settings you're using. A passing score is earned if the dino emerges victorious in the boss battle, showcasing its prowess. A failing score doesn't imply that the dino lacks the potential to triumph. It simply means that at this stage, it may not be the most practical choice. Now let's take a look at our competitor and get into the battles. The Allosaurus is Ark's resident pack-hunting theropod. These bad boys live in a group of 3, with one holding the title of Alpha. The Allosaurus have a pack boost, but only the leader of the group, or the Alpha, gets the bonus. They are not like wolves where the entire pack gets the boost, so I'm sorry to temper your expectations. Fortunately, more than one Allo can get the pack leader boost in groups greater than 3, which we'll see. The Allos competing today have the following stats, which I reached with 45 mutations and 40 extra levels. These stats are reachable with much less mutations, because levels applied from experience gained boost your stats much further than mutations do. These are just what I use for the competition. Now, let's see what these handsome devils are made of and put them to the test. Allos aren't the smallest, but they're smaller than Rexes and Mammoths, which makes getting them all into the boss arena a pretty easy endeavor. Gamma Megapithecus is up first, and the Allo squad is all over him like wild card on bug fixes. Just kidding, they don't fix bugs, like, ever. This fight is over faster than it began, and the Allos completely dominate the Gamma Megapithecus and barely take any damage. They have easily earned this first pass. The Gamma Broodmother is up next, and the Allos swarmed her rather quickly. It was really a piece of cake maneuvering these guys around. As usual, the Gamma Broodmother was a breeze, and the Allos didn't take very much damage. My initial impression, though, was their attack speed wasn't that great. For a creature that moves as fast as the Allosaurus, it would be nice to see a faster attack. They didn't even use their secondary attacks in any of the fights, but it was enough to shut the lights off on the Gamma Broodmother and earn the Allos their second pass. Carnivores versus the Dragon is never fun, but fortunately we have the Gamma Dragon first. My concerns were a little high for later fights, and I did notice that there were some Allos that wouldn't attack when close to the Dragon during this fight. If you've been looking at the damage numbers, you'll notice that Allo attacks buffed by the Uranus hit for 549, and the pack leaders are hitting for 823. It's quite the jump in damage, but the low amount that the regular Allos are hitting for make up the bulk of the damage output. I just didn't feel too confident about how they would fare against the later fights. For now, though, we have a clean sweep of the Gamma bosses. With the blue portal up, it was time to head into the first beta arena of the day and say hello to the Megapithecus. The Allos grew bored and demanded a challenge from the ape, but they could smell his fear. He waddled over to engage in combat with the Allos. His walk was clearly disrupted from him shitting his fur coat at the sight of these magnificent beasts ready to tear him a new one. The positioning in this fight wasn't ideal. I would have preferred to be slightly closer to the terminal so that I could get 360 degrees of Allo teeth around the boss. Allos aren't terribly large, but they still need a bit of space to work. The Beta Megapithecus was able to knock several of the Allos away and wound up pursuing me for a little bit. The chase didn't last long because the Allos pinned him down and dished out the final killing blows, earning their fourth pass of the night. The Beta Babe Mother was up next, and she was coming in hot. It was one of the fastest aggers I've experienced, and this could have derailed a normal group of dinos, but these Allos don't play around. They weren't about to get shut down by some dominatrix living in a cave. The Allos quickly got the Beta Broodmother's health down to 50% and kept laying it on thick. Before I knew it, she was down to 10% health, and all the Allos looked fairly healthy. They easily pulled off another win and scored their fifth pass. Over to the Beta Dragon arena, I started off with a roar and I repositioned the crew. The Beta Dragon was on us relatively early, and I tried to get the Allos as close to the Dragon's feet as possible. He started off with a nasty fire blast, but the Allos started to lay it on pretty quick. On the Dragon's second landing, you can see his health isn't that low. I admit I had some concerns after seeing this. This fight required a lot of maneuvering, and honestly it was hard to tell if the Allos could get close enough to take advantage of the missed shots of the Dragon. Suddenly, we started to lose allos, and the beta dragon wasn't even down to half health when the jerk took off again. On the next engagement, he hit the crew with some nasty fire and started dropping even more combatants. In total, I was already down 7 allos. Things weren't looking good. But then there was a ray of shining light. Finally, after the herd was thinned, I was able to get the remaining allos close enough to his feet to avoid the majority of the damage that the dragon could dish out. The allos won this one by the skin of their teeth, because one more fire breath would have ended it. But this pass is as good as any. Red bubble time means alpha time, and the allos gear up to head into the Alpha Megapithecus arena. As usual, after a visit to the ruins that the red ape inhabits, he chases us and is never too far behind. As a matter of fact, he was on my heels the entire way, and the allo squad was immediately called into action. The start of this fight was rough and awkward. I was pinned down for most of it, and eventually I got away. I don't think I had ever ran this much during a Megapithecus fight. I don't necessarily think I had to, but I was just so used to trying to position the Yudi for some effective courage roars. After some more chasing me around the arena, the allos were finally able to lock this jerk down and start putting a real hurting on him. His health bar finally started to drop substantially. He eventually broke free thanks to his knockback and gave chase to me once again. Ultimately, the allos caught up with him and put him on his ass, earning their first Alphapus of the night. Time for the Alpha Broodmother. The initial surrounding was a little sloppier than I would have liked, but the allos started dishing it all out in unison once they were settled. They actually really started hammering away and beating her ass. Her health bar was melting away like crazy. I didn't want to get overconfident because even though the allos were dishing it out, I could see that the Broodmother was also punishing the allos like crazy. She seriously hits hard. We wound up losing one brave soldier in this fight, and the remaining allos were really messed up, but they pulled it off and slapped another green stamp on the board. The Alpha Dragon fight started off like shit. Allos were stuck at the spawn point, but I was able to get them free after the first barrage of Pteranodon attacks. Shortly after getting them free, the Alpha Dragon made his first landing, and the fight settled around the ruins. I didn't know how long this fight would last, but it felt like an eternity. The dragon's health bar was moving pretty slow, and I was dreading what was to come, but would you believe it if you didn't see it? We lost 7 of these guys during the Beta Dragon fight. The Alpha Dragon literally did almost no damage for this first barrage. I don't know if it was the way that he was angled after stepping on the ruins or what, but the allos got up under his feet and put a hurting on him. And apparently it wasn't the angle, because even after the second landing, they were able to avoid a ton of damage as well. There's even allos standing there doing jack shit. I couldn't believe my eyes. Then we were finally handed our first dose of reality and started losing allos. The dreaded red text. It was a valiant effort on the dragon's part, because the allos may have lost a couple of their numbers, but they stood tall and beat the snot out of the Alpha Dragon, earning a clean sweep of the board, our second competitor to do so. That wraps up another episode of the Underdog Boss Battle series. We have many more coming, and I'm trying to put these out as fast as my schedule allows. I appreciate all the feedback I've been getting, and I love interacting with each and every one of you in the comments. If there's a dino you'd like to see, let me know. I have a running list in the community tab that you can check out, which includes all the planned dinos in order, so if it's not there, let me know. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, because I'd love to have you a part of this growing community. Thanks for all you do, and I'll catch you on the next one.